Students for Canada is an advocacy program designed by students and young professionals for students and young professionals. We are a group of devoted individuals who believe that Canada can have a strong future in energy and the environment. Chris Bloomer is a president and CEO from Canadian Energy Pipeline Association, or CEPA, here to discuss how important pipelines are to the Canadian resources and to the Canadian economy. This meeting will be recorded and can be found on our YouTube channel, and parts may be used on our social media channels, so please support us and give us a follow at Students for Canada on any of our social media platforms. All right, over to you, Chris.
Thanks very much, Perry. And sincerely, it is an honor to be able to have a conversation with you. All of you on this meeting. I am very impressed by students who get together and try to make a difference. And I think that the energy discussion is probably the biggest discussion on the planet. So being informed, being engaged, and providing input and solutions from an advocacy point of view is critically important. So applaud what you're doing, and really am grateful to be here and be able to talk to you because this is extremely important. So we represent what are called transmission pipeline companies, and they operate about 135,000 kilometers of pipeline in Canada and the US. One of the biggest transmission pipeline infrastructure in the world. It really encompasses, it's a North American impact. And so we represent the Canadian companies who also operate in the US, and we engage in the US on pipeline matters. And transmission pipelines are very specific. They're the what are called the big inch pipelines. You know, the 24-inch, 48-inch, the big inch pipelines that move vast amounts of energy continentally, from Alberta right across the continent down into the U.S. to the west and so on. So that's who we represent, and we're both the technical association for the integrity and safety, best practices around that in the industry, and also advocacy. We engage with the federal government, the provincial governments, and so on regulatory issues with the CER and the AER, for example, on regulatory issues and policy things that impact the industry. So it's not only federally advocating, it's provincially advocating too. So we kind of encompass the whole piece. The pipelines are natural gas and the liquids, oil and refined products pipelines that are transmission pipelines. So it encompasses the whole spectrum of hydrocarbon energy and hydrocarbon movement to the major markets. So we have, our vision really is to be safe and to be a socially, environmentally sustainable industry. And that means a lot of things. Like we have had this vision for quite a while, but the perception of this vision and what it really encompasses and what is environmentally sustainable, that's changed an awful lot, and industry's views on that have changed an awful lot. So I hope we have a conversation about that. But that's really our vision, and we engage, and collaborate, continually improve our sustainability and transparency, and the business environment within how we operate and our commitment to the safety and having zero incidents. And we've been very successful over the past decade in achieving the safety and integrity targets that we have set out for ourselves. But business environment is key because it involves communications, finding out who to communicate with, what they want to know, making sure they understand the importance, the absolute bedrock. You can't equivocate on the importance of this energy system to all our lives. And so we try to engage on that basis with a broad audience. We have blogs We put out an annual performance report. We strive for transparency, and we've kind of moved with the times on our communications to really try to engage more at what I call a kitchen table level with people to understand these things. So next slide. So these are some of our members that make up the association, these represent natural gas. They represent, in the case of Wolf Midstream, is one of the leaders in the carbon trunk line in Alberta. So pipelines as an evolving industry is really changing an awful lot. All of these companies are involved in and shifting their investment portfolio, their positioning, and how they talk about their business to include things like hydrogen, moving of hydrogen. You can't have a hydrogen energy system without pipelines. Carbon capture and utilization. You can't have and can't do that without pipelines. So these companies are all engaged in one form or another in other things like renewable energy, solar panels, farms, hydrogen investments. They are really focused on engaging, and it's an evolving business model, but they are really engaged in what we call the transition, and they're going to be part of the energy portfolio going forward. So as the environment changes, as the opportunities changes, as the regulations change, these companies are all engaged in that forward-looking part of it. And this includes diversity. It includes gender issues, trying to modernize and look forward and have a sustainable and successful business going forward. So all these companies are really engaged. They're not digging in their heels. They're not trying to go back to yesterday. They're absolutely looking forward. And that's kind of a contrary thought when you hear about pipelines and what they represent. But it is a modern, sophisticated, essential part of our lives and our economy. So next slide. Just to demonstrate the impact and scope of these pipelines, this is the pipeline system that our members are involved in across North America. Red is the gas side, and green is the oil side, the liquid side. But if you look at, this is continental in scope, and we have one of the biggest continents in the world, and it includes Mexico also. So when you think about the energy that's being moved, on an annual basis, I have to keep checking the numbers because it keeps going up. But the last year, the gas system moved 4.5 trillion cubic feet of gas to customers, to markets, to industries across North America, mainly from Alberta. What's not shown on here is the Coastal GasLink pipeline that will go from Alberta across to the West Coast to supply the Canada LNG project. So when that's up and running, that's going to we have a global access. Plus, we have Trans Mountain, who is going to be completing their pipeline expansion to access global markets by, say, 2023, late 2023. So this whole system is expanding. It is probably the best pipeline infrastructure, and from a safety and integrity and operating point of view in the world. It's extremely sophisticated. It uses satellite telemetry. It uses all the tools that any modern industry would use to monitor and ensure that people get their energy. And it's a sustainable system. It is a reliable system. When hurricanes hit, when flooding hits, the West Coast system was down for a short period of time, was brought back up on the gas side recently in BC. So the scope of this system is amazing. And on the oil side, this system moves 1.3 billion barrels of oil annually. The amount of energy that this represents is irreplaceable. It really is going forward. And the whole industry is focused on being less impactful on the land, less impactful on emissions and getting better all the time, and evolving the business models and the interaction with engagement and participation of the Indigenous community, and also on the diversity side of things. And, you know, we hear a lot about ESG. These companies are leaders on ESG, the environmental, social, and governance aspect of industries that affect the companies and the people that invest in these companies, that they want to see them perform at the highest levels of ESG going forward. So I want to leave you with the impression of a couple of things. One is that this is a massive system. It delivers energy in an economical way that creates value and drives the economy. It's a forward-looking industry. It is very sophisticated, and it will be part of the energy future going forward. The system is irreplaceable, and it's been built up over decades. When we talk about an energy future, we talk about a transition. This system will be in place. It will move eventually hydrogen. It's going to be a key role in carbon capture and sequestration. We're accessing global markets and getting the best value for our product. So I want to leave you with those thoughts and look forward to engaging in a conversation and answering questions. So thank you.